Yashodanandana Vrajajanarandana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivada Dhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivada Dhari Yashodanandana Vrajajanarandana Yashodanandana Vrajajanarandana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Hare Kṛṣṇa Hare Kṛṣṇa 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Kṛṣṇa Hare Kṛṣṇa 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Kṛṣṇa Hare Kṛṣṇa 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Dayam Vishupad Paramahamsa Tri Pradika Sajasto Terasatta Sri Srimad, His Divine Grace, Hila Boy Charanarvind Bhakti Vedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Skandibiti Founder Charya's Divine Grace, Hila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Namasarya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Harinam Sankirtan Ki Antaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Danitai Gauda Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and to Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada Ki. You see that piece of wood that's sticking out there? Gonna fall any time. I mean, later on, not now, but later on. That should be the one that's like that should be removed. Otherwise, it's gonna fall on our neighbor's paddy. He may not like that. Yeah. Who can do that? Yes. It requires someone who's tall. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Taksurinmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Jita Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaisnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagradatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakanditam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Suti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Vyayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Dharam Chaiva Narotamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us first offer our respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayesha bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering a service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed or practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, whose praise with transcendental songs becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahmasamitam Uttama Shloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishreyasayalokasya Dhanyam Swasyayanam Mahat. This Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantara, the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God, the Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Sarabhyai Namaha Om Sarabhyai Namaha Om Sarabhyai Namaha Mukham karoti vasalam pangum langayate girim yatkripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam Yatkripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna. Welcome to our morning Srimad Bhagavatam class, continuing from Canto number 1, chapter 10, departure of Lord Kṛṣṇa to Dvārakā. Text number 13. 13. Sarve te nimiṣair akṣais tam anu druta-cetasaḥ vīkṣantaḥ sneha-sambaddhā vicelus tatra sarve te nimiṣair akṣais tamanu druta-cetasaḥ vīkṣantaḥ sneha-sambaddhā vicelus tatra sarve te nimiṣair akṣais tamanu druta-cetasaḥ vīkṣantaḥ sneha-sambaddhā vīkṣantaḥ sneha-sambaddhā Naddaha vicelus tatra sarve te nimiṣair akṣais tamanu druta-cetasaḥ vīkṣantaḥ sneha-sambaddhā vicelus tatra sarve te nimiṣair akṣais tamanu druta-cetasaḥ
vīkṣante sneha-sambaddhā
vicelus sneha-sambaddhā
vicelus tatra
vicelus tatra sarve nimiṣair akṣais tamanu druta-cetasaḥ vīkṣantaḥ sneha-sambaddhā vicelus tatra sarve nimiṣair akṣais tamanu druta-cetasaḥ vīkṣantaḥ sneha-sambaddhā vicelus tatra
sarve nimiṣair akṣais
nimiṣair akṣais tamanu druta-cetasaḥ
vīkṣantaḥ sneha-sambaddhā
vicelus sneha-sambaddhā vicelus tatra sarve nimiṣair akṣais tamanu druta-cetasaḥ viｋṣantaḥ sneha-sambaddhā vicelus tatra sarve all te they nimiṣair without twinkling of the eyes akṣais by the eye tamanu after him druta-cetasaḥ melted heart viｋṣantaḥ looking upon him sneha-sambaddhā bound by pure affection vicelus began to move tatra here and there ha so they did. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. All their hearts were melting for him on the pot of attraction. They looked at him without blinking their eyes. Try to do that. And they moved hither and thither in perplexity. Kind of repeat after me. All their hearts were melting for him on the pot of attraction. Pot of attraction. They looked at him without blinking their eyes. And they moved hither and thither in perplexity. Purport. Kṛṣṇa is naturally attractive for all living beings because he is the chief eternal amongst all eternals. He alone is the maintainer of many eternals. This is stated in the Katha Upanishad, and thus one can obtain permanent peace and prosperity by revival of one's eternal relation with him, now forgotten under the spell of Maya, the illusory energy of the Lord. Once this relation is slightly revived, the conditioned soul at once becomes freed from the illusion of material energy and becomes mad after the association of the Lord. This association is made possible not only by personal contact with the Lord, but also by association with his name, fame, form, and quality. Srimad Bhagavatam trains the conditioned soul to this stage of perfection by submissive hearing from the pure devotee. Translation again, all their hearts were melting for him on the path of attraction. They looked at him without blinking their eyes, and they moved hither and thither in perplexity. So this is the scene gradually unfolding, the departure scene. Arrival scenes and departure scenes. Within our ISKCON society, if you look at some of the documentaries rather, or some of the videos in the early days when Prabhupada was arriving somewhere or departing somewhere, you can see some of this. Because Srila Prabhupada was, he was like that personality upon whom everyone fully, completely depended. They knew no one else, isn't it? Prabhupada was that personality who had done something simply by being there, simply by speaking something, to kind of like completely change the course of their life, isn't it? Here Prabhupada mentions here how once this relation is slightly revived, then one's whole outlook, one's whole perspective on life begins to change. Sometimes it changes like drastically, immediately, practically, or sometimes it will vary from one individual to the other. So, in the same way that Kṛṣṇa is all attractive, as being nicely described here, and all of these great personalities, that were listed, Kunti Devi, the Pandavas, all those who are very, very closely connected and had such deep ties of affection for the Lord, they're understanding now that the Lord will be leaving them, and they're showing all of these different signs of like, we could say separation. So not only is the Lord himself all attractive, but his pure devotees, like Srila Prabhupada, that nice example that we can actually, even though we were not there, the majority of those who are members of ISKCON today were not physically there. Most of them were not even born, because that happened so many years ago. But it has been captured not only in video form that we can see, but it has been captured in the hearts. It has been captured in the hearts of those who are actually right there, physically present, when a personality, a rare personality, like Srila Prabhupada, we could say, awaken, isn't it? Awaken this dormant love within the hearts of so many of so many people. And at the end of the purport here, Prabhupada also makes the same point, that it's not only the physical presence of either the Lord or his pure devotee, but that same type of awakening, that same type of affection, that same type of gratitude can also be awakened through nama, rupa, guna, lila, by remembering the name, form, quality, pastimes of the Lord. And also, although not mentioned here directly, also by understanding what is the mission of the Lord, what is the mission of his pure devotees. Our Vaishnava acharyas are the ideal personalities. They are the example of those who are naturally, because they're on that level, of understanding what is the mission of the Lord, and they are carrying out every, we could say, acharya. If we look at the different Vaishnava acharyas in our Guru Parampara, they have carried that mission and they have executed in different ways, isn't it, to kind of help realize that mission of the Lord. And it changes from time to time in that the whole social context. Just like during the time of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, mostly there were a lot of apasampradayas in the name of, Vaishnavism, in the name of pure bhakti. So many people were engaged in all kinds of actually sinful activities, isn't it? They were professing to follow the teachings and the philosophy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but so many irregularities actually had infiltrated, and the general public, people in general, they knew this, they could understand that externally they are wearing the dress of Vaishnava, they are having japamala in their hands, but they're also engaged in all kinds of irregular activities, sinful activities. So therefore, at that particular time, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur had to especially preach very strongly against these kinds of deviations, introducing new mantras, isn't it? Not actually strictly following the four rules and regulations, because in the name, or rather, in professing to follow in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or the residents of Vrindavan, people were engaged in all kinds of what is called debauchery, trying to imitate the pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan. So, as Srila Rupa Goswami explains, actually, somehow or other, we need to connect either with the name, either with the form of the Lord by becoming inspired, by remembering that form of the Lord, or by seeing the form of the Lord in our temples, or by being engaged in activities that are directly connected with the mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the mission of our present founder, Acharya in particular, who has captured very I would say, in a very unique manner, how the mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is meant to be introduced at this particular time. During Prabhupada's time, after the departure of his Guru Maharaj, Sri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, there was a lot of confusion, a lot of division, actually, within the Gaudiya Math, that is documented, etc. And no one really believed that, what Lord Chaitanya said, that in every town and village, the holy name will be spread. But Srila Prabhupada had full, complete, 100%, 108% full faith that actually, because the Lord has said and because it's there in the Shastra, it's possible to do. But nobody knew, actually nobody could understand how to do it. And no one really had that kind of full conviction, full faith that yes, in every town and village, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra will be introduced. And and as we can see today, because that one personality, Srila Prabhupada, had that type of full, complete conviction, wherever he went, people started to chant Hare Krishna. And even after Srila Prabhupada's departure, anywhere any devotee goes, people start chanting Hare Krishna. Now they may not immediately fully shave up, put tilak, and join the temple, although some do. Yeah.
Yes.
So the idea is that by the presence of such personalities, the dormant, sleeping, conditioned soul's heart actually becomes touched, becomes slightly awakened. And once that is done, then it's like the beginning of one's going out of the material world.
Yes.
Even a slight interaction or contact with a Vaishnav, devotee of the Lord, that is the beginning of one's eventually total awakening. Actually, it is mentioned in the beginning of the Nectar devotion that one who comes in contact in any way or form with this process of bhakti, which means ultimately coming in contact with Kṛṣṇa, because all of these, isn't it? The name, the form, the qualities, etc., they are non-different from Kṛṣṇa. And therefore that potency, that full potency is there. So Srila Rupa Goswami explains that actually anyone who has in this way become fortunate to come in contact, he's considered as a liberated person, liberated soul, because his path home back to Godhead has begun. And that remains actually an eternal asset. Whatever we are doing, whatever activities, whatever advancement we make in this life remains a permanent asset for us, and we begin in our next life if we fail to completely finish our business in this life. But it's not the same thing for somebody who's materialistic and has a very nice bank account. His next life, he won't necessarily have the same bank account. I mean, deposit, whatever. So in other words, on the material platform, especially in terms of bhakti, even pious activities, isn't it? Shastra describes how we come due to the accumulation of pious activities, good activities. Then at one point we come in contact with devotees, with the process of bhakti, of devotional service. So that is what Kṛṣṇa does actually by in this particular pastime, because the Lord is there himself, and he has awakened and he has established this very deep, loving relationship with his devotees. That's Krishna's main business, main purpose. Either when he comes directly, as he did 5,000 years ago, or through his different agents and devotees, it is to gradually reawaken what is meant to be. Prabhupada calls it the birthright. Very nice concept, like if you're born in India, because of being born in India, you have a right to vote. You're a citizen of the country. If you have your papers in order, you can vote. So that's like a birthright. You can buy property, isn't it? You can. So many things are open, accessible to you. So Krishna consciousness actually is the birthright of all of us, of all living entities, because that's our, we could say, constitutional nature, to actually be in this fully, a loving relationship with the Lord. Simply, it needs to be awakened. Simply, it needs to be awakened, especially through the process of hearing, through the process of association. Generally, when we are hearing, we hear from somebody. Of course, nowadays we can hear from the
Speaker.
From the cell phone or whatever like that. But still, it's somebody who's making that sound vibration possible at some point by recording it and whatnot. So, so here we see symptoms, different ecstatic symptoms, like the eyes stop blinking. That was the prayers, or when the gopis in Vrindavan were speaking, they were chastising Lord Brahma for having created us with blinking eyes, because every time we blink, we can't see Krishna, they were telling. So that is the level of attraction that the pure devotees, like the gopis in Vrindavan. So pure devotees, our goal and aim is actually to become purified, so that we can also have this natural and spontaneous attraction, as it is nicely described here, of all these great personalities. And that cannot be aroused artificially. It cannot be imitated. It will, this is the whole very wonderful description that is there both in the Nectar Devotion and also in the Srimad Bhagavatam. How to arouse, isn't it? How to awaken this we could say awareness. How to arouse our natural taste and desire for engaging in devotional activities, ultimately for pleasing Krishna, or for pleasing his pure devotee, or for pleasing the devotees of the Lord. So, when I was reading this is once this relation, it's all a question of relation, isn't it? I mean, the whole world everyone in the material world is searching for relation, is wanting to have a relation. People, they love to tell people, I'm in a relation now. I have fallen in love, whatever. So here the Prabhupada explains how once this relation is even slightly revived, then the conditioned soul at once becomes freed from the illusion of material energy and becomes mad after the association of the Lord. So once we come in contact actually with Krishna consciousness, yes, Maya will be testing us. Maya is there because we are living in the kingdom of Maya. It's her kingdom, isn't it? Durga Devi, Durga Puja. So how to get out of this illusory condition? It begins by this slight awakening of Krishna consciousness. Of course, in the Shastra it mentions how Maya, what are the two ways that Maya works? I mean, she works in unlimited ways. It's a long list, but there are two ways in which Maya influences the living entity in the material world. Huh? Yes. The two ways. What are the two ways that Maya influences the conditioned soul? There's a Sanskrit term. One is called the covering potency. Just like a blanket.
Yes.
When it's cold in the winter, you want to really cover yourself completely.
Yes.
So when you're covered, So for the vast majority of conditioned souls in the material world, Maya completely covers. We're totally in, tamagun,
Yes.
completely in ignorance. We don't understand who we are. We don't understand where we come from, and we don't understand what is the purpose of life. We're just like in lower consciousness. We're in animal consciousness, actually. If we're not Krishna conscious, if we're not awakened to our spiritual identity, I mean, if we don't even know that we're different from the body, we're in animal consciousness, because that's the state and condition of those living entities who have not yet attained the human form of life, right? Animal consciousness. So the vast majority of living entities in the material world are totally covered by Maya. Now those who are fortunate, all of us who are sitting here, and anyone who's hearing a Bhagavatam class somewhere, or chanting Hare Krishna, anyone who's coming in contact with devotees, Maya still has an effect on those yet not fully liberated souls, and that is called the throwing potency. Covering potency, completely covered. Throwing potency means, Hare Krishna, we're chanting, or we're doing some seva, and then because we're not attentive or something, we get thrown off the track. Like somebody who's driving, and that's how accidents happen. He falls asleep on the wheel. Or Prabhupada, Shastra also explains like shaving. Spiritual life is like a razor's edge. If we're not cautious, something red will come. Blood will come, yeah. Spiritual life is like a razor's edge. Because we're dealing with Kṛṣṇa. When we're dealing with a big person, Krishna is the biggest person.
Yes.
Then if we're not cautious, hey, he knows. He understands immediately. We can fake something, with other people. but we can't fake anything with Kṛṣṇa.
Yes, yes.
You know, there's one expression: you can fool some of the people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all the time.
Yeah.
Especially, you can't fool Kṛṣṇa. We cannot fake it with Kṛṣṇa. We can fake it with others, but we cannot fake it with Kṛṣṇa. So therefore, until and unless we reach that stage, like all of these wonderful personalities here, the Pandavas, Kunti Devi, etc., then we are subject to what is called throwing potency. Devotee actually will never again be the same. It's just like sometimes devotees go away, but they can never forget. They can never forget. And generally, devotees in this lifetime come back. Sometimes they may have to wait another lifetime. But once awakened, we can never forget. Once we have tasted gulab jamans, laddus, sandesh, we can never forget. Yeah, or jalebis. That was my first, prasadam. So, so the idea is that every time we get thrown off the track, then it is it's not good for us, isn't it? Our service becomes interrupted, and our progress also becomes interrupted, and therefore, this is what is happening actually to devotees, is that they're no longer covered by Maya's influence of, this covering potency, but to the extent that we are not sufficiently attentive and alert in Krishna consciousness, we become sidetracked, and therefore our progress is impeded, and therefore it takes longer time, and therefore we become discouraged, and therefore our mind is disturbed, isn't it? So therefore, the need and the importance to avoid going off track, isn't it? Because Maya is always there, testing all the living entities, especially testing those who are wanting to get out of Maya's grip. She's very possessive. She doesn't want to lose her devotees. So therefore, these pastimes of the Lord and the pastimes of the Lord's devotees, we've been reading in the last few chapters. The previous chapter, chapter 9, the departure of Bhishmadev, and how wonderful, such a great personality, even on a bed of arrows, could be totally, completely fixed in consciousness and could speak such wonderful words and give such deep instructions actually to Yudhishthira Maharaj. And the chapter before that, which was chapter 8, the prayers of Queen Kunti Devi, again, she went on for like, I think 27 verses, half of the whole chapter, glorifying Kṛṣṇa by just spontaneously formulating and praising the glories of the Lord. So our goal, our objective is to gradually awaken more and more this type of consciousness so that we can be fixed, isn't it, on the path and not swayed this way or that way. And in this way, we can best serve in the mission of the Lord. And we can best also attract, ultimately, the attention of Kṛṣṇa, isn't it? Our goal is to receive the full mercy of the Lord so that ultimately we can reestablish our loving relationship with Kṛṣṇa as it is nicely described here in this particular pastime. Yeah. So, any questions on this? The narration will continues actually in this chapter because it's taking a while for Kṛṣṇa. Yeah. Anyways, it'll gradually unfold. We can also, like we did yesterday, we can take another text, which is, text 14. Nyarundhann udgalad bāṣpam autkaṇṭhyād devakī-sute niryāty agārān no bhadram iti syād bāndhava-striyaḥ. Translation and purport: the female relatives whose eyes were flooded with tears out of anxiety for Kṛṣṇa came out of the palace. They could stop their tears only with great difficulty. They feared that tears would cause misfortune at the time of departure. Purport: there were hundreds of ladies in the palace of Hastinapura. All of them were affectionate to Kṛṣṇa. All of them were relatives also. When they saw that Kṛṣṇa was going away from the palace for his native place, they were very anxious for him, and as usual, tears began to roll down their cheeks. They thought at the same time that tears at that moment might be a cause of misfortune for Kṛṣṇa. Therefore, they wanted to check them. This was very difficult for them because the tears could not be checked. Therefore, they smeared their tears in their eyes, and their hearts throbbed. Therefore, ladies who were the wives and daughters-in-law of those who died in the battlefield never came in direct contact with Kṛṣṇa. But all of them heard of him and his great activities, and thus they thought of him, talked of him, his name, fame, etc., and became affectionate also, like those who were in direct contact. Therefore, directly or indirectly, anyone who thinks of Kṛṣṇa, talks of Kṛṣṇa, or worships Kṛṣṇa becomes attached to him. Because Kṛṣṇa is absolute, there is no difference between his name, form, quality, etc. Our intimate relation with Kṛṣṇa can be confidentially revived by our talking of, hearing of, and remembering him. It is done due to spiritual potency. Just like one time one devotee was asking or telling Srila Prabhupada, oh, Arjuna, he was so fortunate. He was right there. Right in front of Kṛṣṇa was talking to him directly. We're not that fortunate. Then Prabhupada was telling, yes, Arjuna was fortunate, but you're also fortunate because the same words that Krishna spoke 5,000 years ago, you're able to receive now. You're also able to hear. So, means you can get the same benefit that Arjuna received also, because the instructions, the very same instructions given by Krishna, can act as powerfully on your heart as they did on Arjuna's heart, isn't it? So this point is being made here by Srila Prabhupada, either directly or indirectly, because it is all, it is transcendental potency that is at work, isn't it? Krishna and Krishna's internal potency are the same. Krishna and his, what is called Daivi Prakriti. Mahatmanastumam Partam Daivim Prakritim Asritaha. Asritaha means to take shelter of this Daivi Prakriti. So, to take shelter means to be connected somehow or other, in any form, shape, or manner. As mentioned again, Prabhupada is repeating the same theme, that through the name, through the form, through the pastimes, through hearing, any of the 9 processes of bhakti or devotional service have the capacity to actually awaken this dormant Krishna consciousness within the hearts, within the hearts of all conditioned souls. So, in other words, as Prabhupada explains here, the so many soldiers, practically all the soldiers who fought in the battle of Kurukshetra died, and on both sides. So the wives of these soldiers never directly associated with Krishna. Probably many of them never even saw him. But because through their husband and other relatives, they heard about Krishna, they talked about Krishna, they remembered Krishna, so that is sufficient as well to awaken these dormant feelings of affection that are actually within the heart of all conditioned souls. So it will continue in the verses to come. Yes? No? Yes?
Question about the Maya.
A question about Maya. Yes, there are many questions about Maya.
Yes, the main question is.
The main question.
Main question is Maya is always testing us, and
Maya is always
Maya always testing us. You told.
Testing us. Yes, yes.
And we don't know when the test will come.
Yes.
And the question is how
to be prepared.
To be protected. Yes, I mean we have a sadhana, 16 rounds every day, Bhagavatam class in the morning.
But what about the rest? But what about when we're not chanting or when we're not attending Bhagavatam class?
I mean, even we are attending Bhagavatam class and chanting 60 rounds, sometimes test is so
so
dangerous.
Strong. Yeah. Right.
How to be awareness all the
time. One time Prabhupada explained how because Maya always, but especially more so in Kali Yuga, Maya is more present, more. I mean, because the whole world is devoid of Vedic culture largely, and therefore people are engaged in all kinds of sinful activities. So the whole atmosphere is like saturated, polluted very heavily, and therefore, in that context, Prabhupada said, unless we chant these 16 rounds, then we are likely not to be protected against these different assaults of Maya, or these different tests that are coming our way. So, in other words, whether it's chanting the holy name, whether it's performing our different services, whether it's being attentive, for example, when we attend Bhagavatam class, whether it's how we deal with devotees during the course of our day, if we are not making that constant effort, then we will be more susceptible to the various influences of Maya. So, yeah, if we are performing these different activities, like attending morning program, coming for Mangalarti, hearing, doing our chanting, etc., the more we perform those activities, because these are done in the early part of the day, right? To actually prepare us and help us to meet with the various situations that will come up during our day. So, so the more we are attentive in doing these different activities, especially in the first portion of the day, then the more we will be protected against the different tests that Maya is sending. Of course, we cannot only be attentive in the morning and then the rest of the day is like free for all. We need to carry what we receive in these morning practices. That's why morning program is so important, because it will give us the needed strength to actually meet with the various difficult situations that we will encounter. So we just have to more seriously, more attentively perform these specific prescribed activities, especially in the mornings, and that will definitely make us stronger to meet and deal with whatever comes our way. Yeah. So if we know this, and if we are properly practicing, properly executing, then we'll be able to easily deal with what comes, whatever Maya throws our way. Yeah, that's the whole thing, isn't it? If we are resolute in taking shelter of the Daivi Prakriti, then we'll be able to deal with whatever comes. Maya is very strong, but Krishna is stronger, isn't it? The Daivi Prakriti is more powerful than the Mohini Prakriti. So therefore, we need to deepen our our surrender to the process, and in this way, we will become stronger and more protected. Yes? Yeah. Jai Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki. Jai Samasta Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki. Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki.